So as you can see, I don't have on anybody's face makeup, nothing on my eyebrows, nothing on my eyelids. I'm just fresh faced with moisturized lips. I've said this in another brow video of mine, but some people do their brows after they do their full face and all of that. But I just can't, so I don't. So I'm not. I'm not going to. Plus, I just want to be able to show you like a full canvas so you're not distracted by anything else on my face, to truly show you how to transform the eyebrows. And then at the end, you'll be able to see the full picture and the full difference. So that's why we are barefaced. So for this process, you are going to need 3 items. You are going to need an eyebrow duo brush, and I got this one from Walmart. It's by e.l.f. It was like $3 or $4. Really inexpensive, but it is one of my favorite eyebrow brushes. You're going to need some kind of eyebrow pomade. Now for this personally, I'm going to be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dipbrow Pomade, and I've used this before in a tutorial I did way back, but I don't think I really liked that eyebrow tutorial, and I just wanted to kind of redo everything. So I still love this product, and I'm still going to be using the Anastasia Dip Brow in the color chocolate. You also need a concealer that is not too bright, so that is close to your skin tone. That's kind of the trick, and I'll show you why in a little bit. But I'm just going to use the LA Girl Pro Concealer in Fawn. Normally I use Warm Honey to highlight my face and under my brows, but for the purposes of this specific video, we're using one closer to our skin tone. And you'll also need some kind of fluffy brush to just blend out the concealer underneath our brows once we get to that step. So this is just the one I always use. It's by Royal and Langnickel, and it's their crease and smudge brush. I think I've seen this at Walmart if I'm not mistaken, or at least a brush like this, but any fluffy kind of brush will do. The first thing that I do is just brush through my eyebrow hairs. And I love this brush in particular because it is stiff enough to like get them all in place. Because some spoolies you get, they're like too soft, or they just don't go through all of your hairs, especially if you have thick eyebrow hairs. I would definitely invest in this brush. So fun fact, reason why my brows are not done at this current moment and it's driving me crazy is because my nail shop decided they wanted to renovate. And that's where I get my eyebrows done. And I pulled up like, pero what am I supposed to do for 2 weeks? Lisa knows that she's the only person I let touch these brows. And she just on hiatus. So I'm just gonna take the angled side of this brush and dip that into the Dip Brow Pomade. Pretty lightly. I'm not going too ham. It's not as creamy as it was when I bought it, but it's not completely dried out, so I'm still only dipping a little bit in, because when it starts to glide, it'll still go a long way. And then what I do is, because this is the area where my hairs are growing in, I start at the bottom. Normally I start at the top if they're fresh and they're clean and just ready to go, but since they're not, we're gonna start at the bottom, and I start near the middle. So I just start to do light strokes, and I'm creating the shape that I want. And don't worry about those excess hairs at the moment. Just start to go in from the bottom. And you can always grab more product and put it on the brush if you see that you need to. But it's kind of hard once you put too much and you messed it up. You got to start all over. The reason I say use a pomade is because it's thick enough to cover the problem areas. Sometimes a lighter pencil, which is what I tend to use on a day-to-day basis, it doesn't create the coverage that you need. It's kind of light, it's kind of going with your hair, and you don't necessarily right now want the product to go with your hairs because they're doing what they want. So not too much done, but you can already kind of see a difference on the bottom of my brow with the hairs. You can't see as many as you did when I started. And so I just go on the bottom, and then I go on the top near the arch, and I connect the tail, okay? And you can create whatever brow shape you want, but that's just the way I tend to do it when I'm going through a period where I need them done. And then I'm just filling in the back. I haven't dipped my brush back into any more product. because you don't want them harsh, but you do want that coverage. And then at the front, I'm just kind of feathering whatever's left. So I'm not dipping back in and putting any at the front, and we're gonna brush this later. Then you're gonna take this brush, and this is why it's good that it's stiff, and brush through the whole thing, okay? And you're brushing those hairs up so that they're not laying down where you can see them. Brushing them up will help you not only create a hair-like effect, but it will help you to conceal those hairs at the bottom. And then I just brush to the side and I brush down. Something struggling. Now you don't have to do your brows as strong as I do mine, but like I said, I don't have a problem with a little thicker brow if I'm going through this kind of stage because the hairs are in the places I need them to be to make up for what I'm lacking in smoothness, and so it's okay if they're a little bit thicker because that's kind of how the hair grows in anyway, is thick. So dipping back in lightly with the brush again, I'm gonna do the other brow, and same rules apply. I start and I'm just lightly flicking my wrist. I'm not harshly trying to draw the line. I'm just kind of letting it go where it naturally goes. And then tapering it off at the front. So that's the base. The bottom is always the base. And then I just take that spoolie end again and make sure I thoroughly brush them out and upwards. And this helps to not create the boxy look, because even if they're growing in, like, the boxy look is not natural. So towards the front, if you can create as much hair-like structure throughout the brow as you can, then it'll help it look like, oh, your brows are just growing in. Oh, they're just maybe a little bit more thicker or more bushier, but not so obvious where it's like, girl. So it's kind of like a tamed yet untamed kind of situation. So now taking my concealer that is not as bright as the one I usually use, I'm just going to squeeze that out. I place whatever excess I squeezed out into the cap, and then the applicator is a little bit stiff. And so you can use an angled brush if you would like, but I just never really do, honestly. Not under my brows. I just use it to do my eyebrows. But if you want to do it, go for it. But I'm just going to dip the applicator into that concealer we put in the cap. And then I'm going to go underneath my brow. You want to use a thick concealer for this because that's what's going to help cover the hairs, okay? And LA Girl Pro Concealer covers a multitude of sins. So that's what I'm going to use today. The reason you don't use a brighter concealer is because it's going to do just that, brighten underneath your eyebrow. That's kind of the purpose. And so if you have the little bitty hairs under there, it's going to draw attention to them more so than take away from them. So you just want to get as close as you can. Sometimes you don't even have to do concealer if you just don't want to, but I just kind of do, and so that's why you use one that's not super bright. Just going to take this fluffy brush, and you can take any fluffy brush that you're using, lift the brow, and then start to go underneath and buff out that concealer. And I don't go directly under my brow at first. I go around the edges and the front, and then I hit the tail end last because that's where the hairs are. So then you can take any flat brush. I'm going to take the end of this one, and that's why I recommend getting this brush, is because it's just the 2-in-1 that you need. And I'm going to go underneath right where those hairs are and smooth out any concealer. Now, God bless you if you were able to cover everything with the concealer, but if you're like me and it's truly been a while since your brows have been touched by the hands of an angel, you might want to take some tweezers and get the excess hairs. So I didn't mention that you needed these in the beginning, only because everybody won't. But if you do, just take your tweezers and get any of those excess hairs that you can see, especially because you've already filled them how you want them. Now go back and brush out the front. Take your finger and get off any excess product. That way you have nothing but hairs at the front. Ooh, who brows need to be done? Ooh. Alright, so I did my face off camera, but these are the brows with the rest of the face. So as you can see, like with makeup on, you can't even tell that I need my eyebrows done. I still do, but I just got rid of a couple little disrespectful hairs, cleaned up around the edges, and just filled them in like I normally do, and it was that easy. Okay, so if you aren't able to necessarily make it to the shop, then this is something really convenient that you can do. So I hope that you enjoyed. If you will hit that subscribe button, that will be great, because why not? You should. Come on, let's go. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this helped. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.